When was the last time you felt like your hard work actually mattered? Not just for the stock market, not just for the billionaires and CEOs who run the place, not just for the politicians trading favors in Washington, but for you, for your family, your kids, for your neighbors, for your town. Think about it for a second, because if you're honest, the answer doesn't come easily, because most of the time, it doesn't feel like it matters at all. We've all heard the slogan, "Make America Great Again." And I get it. I get the pull of those words. They sound good. They feel good. They spark something inside you. They make you remember the promises you were told, the vision of a country where hard work pays off, where your effort counts, where your kids have a future. You nod your head and you think, yeah, that's what I want. I want that for my family. I want that for my community. But here's the thing. Feelings are not reality. Words can feel good, but do they deliver? Do they actually make your life better? Let's be honest for a minute. Let's cut through the slogans and the speeches. What's really happened for you? What about your neighbors, your coworkers, the local small businesses you rely on, the school your kids go to, the roads you drive on every day? What about the hospitals, the grocery stores, the jobs that let you pay your bills? The truth is simple. The wealthiest Americans, they got richer, way richer. And the rest of us, struggling more than ever. That's not just a gut feeling. That's the numbers. That's reality. That's the first 300 days of Trump 2. What did it really bring you? How many more bills piled up? How many wages stayed flat while prices climbed? How many communities were left behind while the top 1% walked away with everything? That's what I'm talking about. MAGA, it might sound good, it might feel good. But when you measure it in the lives that actually matter, it isn't working. Not for the people who need it most. And that, my friends, is where the real America comes in. Where the people who actually build this country, the workers, the teachers, the farmers, the nurses, the small business owners, finally get a chance to see their hard work pay off. That's the America I want to talk about today. Look, here's the deal. The system is rigged. And I don't mean some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory way. I mean in plain, undeniable reality. The rules aren't fair. The game isn't even. The billionaires? They've got money stacked so high, it doesn't do anything anymore. Money sitting in pools, collecting dust, earning interest for people who don't need it, while the rest of us are left scrambling. Your money, your paycheck, it goes to bills, to rent, to groceries, to health care, to taxes that somehow disappear into a system that barely touches your life. And the MAGA slogan? Oh, it sounds like a solution. It feels like a solution. Makes you think, yeah, someone's finally standing up for me. But let's call it what it is. The first 300 days of Trump 2 showed us who really wins when the economy is run that way. Not you, not me. Not the factory worker in Ohio grinding overtime. Not the nurse in Texas keeping the hospital afloat. Not the teacher in Kansas giving everything to educate the next generation. The very top wins. Every single time. And the rest of us? We're watching it happen and feeling powerless. Let's get specific because you need to see this in your own life. Wages? Stagnant. Cost of living? Rising faster than anyone can keep up. Roads? Crumbling. Bridges? Falling apart. The internet? Either slow, unreliable, or completely unavailable in the places that need it most. Rural towns, working class neighborhoods. Healthcare bills? Crushing families. Student loans? Mounting like a storm cloud And that degree, it might get you a job at a car rental counter or as a barista. And while all this is happening, the wealth piles up at the top, at the very top. And somehow, magically, it just keeps growing. Doesn't feel so great, does it? And here's the kicker. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's because the system is designed to funnel the gains upward. That's the reality. And every time someone chants MAGA and waves a flag, it feels like change. But the numbers don't lie. The money keeps flowing away from the people who build this country and toward the people who already have it all. So let me ask you again. When did your work last matter? When did you feel effort rewarded? When did your family see the fruits of your labor in something real? Better roads, better schools, health care that doesn't bankrupt you, a community that thrives instead of barely survives. If you can't remember, that's because the system was never set up to deliver those results for you. The system was built to deliver for them. And that, my friends, is the problem we need to fix. So here's the solution, plain and simple. Money doesn't grow in vaults. Money sitting in towers, in hedge funds, in offshore accounts. It doesn't do a single thing for your life, your kids, your town, your future. Money only grows when it moves, when it circulates, when it flows through Main Street, not just Wall Street. When it hits the hospitals, the schools, the roads, the small businesses that actually make our communities work. That's how economies thrive. That's how families thrive. That's how communities thrive. And that, my friends, is exactly what we need right now. Let's talk about what it actually looks like. Let's picture it. Healthcare. Imagine a world where your family doesn't have to choose between paying a doctor or putting food on the table, where your insurance isn't a gamble, where your kid's asthma inhaler or your parents' prescriptions isn't a monthly financial nightmare. That's money working for people, not just sitting in some billionaire's account growing interest. Housing and food. No one should ever have to sleep in their car. No one should ever go to bed hungry, worried about where their next meal will come from. Families should feel safe in their homes. Communities should feel secure. And money should flow into building that stability, not in the speculation that doesn't touch real lives. Infrastructure. Roads, bridges, broadband, public transit. Jobs that stay local. Jobs that build the towns you live in. Imagine your hometown connected with real high-speed internet, roads that don't crumble under the weight of a few trucks, bridges that are safe to drive across. That's money working where it matters, creating real tangible improvements in your life every single day. Education and skills. We're not talking about theory here. We're talking practical, life-changing programs that prepare your kids, your neighbors, your community for the jobs that actually exist. Clean energy, technology, healthcare. Real jobs that pay well, that give dignity, that give opportunity. Not dead-end gigs. Not the illusion of progress while everything around you falls apart. Real training, real jobs, real futures. And here's the proof, because this isn't just talk. Back in the 1950s, the top marginal tax rate was over 90%. Yeah, you heard me. Over 90%. And do you know what happened? The middle class thrived. Communities grew. Opportunity wasn't a slogan, it was reality. You could work hard, raise a family, own a home, put your kids through school, save for retirement, and still live a good life. And the billionaires didn't flee the country in panic. That's the America that worked. That's the America we can have again. Money trapped in towers does nothing. Money flowing through Main Street builds homes, opens schools, fuels dreams, keeps the lights on in the hospital, fixes the roads you drive on every day, creates jobs where people live, not where they speculate. That's the kind of America that works. That's the kind of America you deserve. And that's the kind of America that finally makes your hard work matter. This isn't about confiscating wealth from the billionaires. It's about circulating wealth through the economy. And it's not a pipe dream. It's not impossible. It's not radical in the way the media wants you to think. It's basic. It's common sense. Money has to work for people, not just sit for the rich. That's the lesson from history. That's the path forward. And if we remember how America built its greatest decades, we can do it again. We will do it again. I want you to close your eyes for a second and picture your town. Not the flashy headlines, not the politicians' speeches, not the empty promises, but the real streets, the real people, the real lives. Picture the factory worker down the street who's been punching the clock for years, grinding overtime, but still just scraping by. Imagine that same worker finally seeing a wage bump. Not a token raise, but not a promise. But real money in their pocket because the local economy is alive again. Because the wealth that used to sit in towers is now circulating where it matters. That paycheck means groceries on the table, a little savings in the bank, and hope for the kids to go to college without crushing debt. Picture the teacher in your town, someone who's been giving everything for decades, loving every minute of shaping young minds, but struggling to keep a roof over their head. Now imagine that teacher finally able to afford a house without working 2 jobs or needing to buy their own classroom supplies. Finally able to sleep at night without the constant stress of bills piling up. Finally able to focus on what matters. Teaching, mentoring, being there for kids who need them. Picture the farmer down the road, the one who's been trying to keep the land alive through droughts, through market swings, through unnecessary trade wars and tariffs, through regulations that make it harder every year. Now imagine broadband that actually works, connecting them to buyers, to distributors, to tools and technology that make their work more profitable. They can expand, hire a neighbor, send their kids to college, and finally see the fruits of their labor in a way they never could before. And it's not just dreams. It's real life. You see it, you feel it. When the roads are fixed, when the schools have the books they need, when the hospitals aren't empty shells, when families can put food on the table and keep the lights on. That is what making America work again really means. Not slogans, not flags, not nostalgia, not empty promises from Washington. Tangible change in your daily life. Tangible improvements in your family's life. Tangible hope in your community. That's the difference between feeling like the system is against you and knowing the system is actually on your side. And here's the kicker. This isn't pie-in-the-sky stuff. This is exactly how America thrived in the post-World War II decades. Jobs, wages, health care, infrastructure. Homes built, roads paved, schools funded, opportunities everywhere. Families were secure. Kids could dream bigger than their parents' limits. Communities grew and prospered because the economy wasn't just a number in the stock ticker. It was alive, circulating, working for the people who built it. That's the blueprint. That's the model. That's the path forward. And we can do it again. Not someday, not maybe, not if it's convenient. But if we decide we're done watching the top get richer while the rest of us scrape by. If we decide we're done being spectators in our own country, we can rebuild this America. We will rebuild this America. And it starts with seeing the change, feeling the change, demanding the change. It starts with us. Now let's get one thing straight. This isn't about politics. It isn't about right or left. This isn't about party lines or hashtags or what the media tells you to believe. No, this is about fairness, plain and simple. It's about doing what's right for the people who actually build this country. The ones who sweat in the factories, the ones who bleed on the construction sites, the ones who risk their lives in hospitals and fire stations, the ones who raise their families, keep their communities together, and show up every day, even when the system is stacked against them. That's real patriotism, not waving a flag on a holiday, not chanting slogans at a rally, not plastering a bumper sticker on your car. Real patriotism is putting your blood, sweat, and tears into making your community, your town, your country stronger, and being rewarded fairly for it. Think about it. When your wages stagnate, when your kids' schools struggle, when the local hospital is falling apart, does waving a flag make that better? No. Real greatness is when the people who do the work, the backbone of this country, actually get to see the benefits of that work. That's what fairness looks like. That's what justice looks like. And it's not radical. It's not extreme. It's just common sense. The people who built this country deserve to live in a country that works for them. And when we take back the economy from the very few at the top, the billionaires hoarding wealth, the corporations benefiting from tax loopholes, the executives pocketing bonuses while their employees struggle, and invest in the many, we're doing exactly what America was meant to do. That's the foundation of true patriotism. That's real greatness. That's what Make America Great Again should have always meant. Making it work for the people who make it great every single day. Because let's be honest, America isn't built on flags or slogans. It's built on hard work, on sweat, on the families who rise early, who put in the hours and show up no matter what. And when the system finally rewards that effort, when the wealth flows to where it belongs, when the schools, the hospitals, the roads, the small businesses thrive, it's not just economics. It's a moral victory. It's fairness in action. It's patriotism that actually means something. And that's the point, folks. That's why we can't settle for hollow words. We can't settle for flashy slogans or feelings that feel good in the moment but don't do anything for our lives. Real greatness comes from fairness. Real patriotism comes from justice. And the real America is the one that finally works for the people who made it what it is. So listen up. This is your moment. Not just to sit back and complain. Not just to shake your fist at the news or the clouds or the politicians and hope someone else does the work for you. No, this is the time to stand up. This is the time to take action. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. Your pressure matters. That's how we rebuild. That's how we force the system to work for you, your family, your town, your community. You can't wait for someone else to fix it. The change starts with us, right here, right now. Think about it. Every day we wait, every day we shrug, the money stays at the top. The billionaires keep hoarding it. The corporations keep profiting while local businesses close, while families struggle. Every day of inaction is another day that opportunity is denied to hardworking Americans. But if we act, if we stand up, if we push, if we demand accountability, the money circulates. It flows into the communities that built this country. It creates jobs. It rebuilds schools. It repairs roads. It restores hospitals. It fuels the dreams of kids who deserve a future they can believe in. And it's not complicated. It's not abstract. It's basic. Action works. Pressure works. Democracy works. But only if we actually use it. If we sit back, if we leave it to the politicians and the billionaires, nothing changes. But if we step up, if we show up, if we demand that America works again, the system bends to us. The rules can favor the people who actually do the work, not just the people at the top who sit back and watch. So I'm telling you now, you can't wait. We can't delay. This is the moment to act, to make our community stronger, to make our schools better, to make our health care affordable, to make jobs real, wages livable, and futures bright. Every phone call, every vote, every meeting, every conversation matters, and every action compounds. And together, it adds up to real change. Change that touches the people who built this country. Change that restores dignity. Change that finally makes America work again. But here's the truth. The people at the top don't want this. They'll resist. They'll tell you it's impossible. They'll try to distract you with slogans, with fear, with division. They'll tell you the billionaires will leave the country like they're going to actually go somewhere. But we've seen it before. We've done it before. When people rise, when communities organize, when the many demand their fair share, the system responds. And it can happen again, right now, in our lifetime, in our towns, in our homes. That's why we act. That's why we push. That's why we refuse to wait any longer. America can work again. And it must work for the people, not the billionaires, not the corporations. For us. So let's do this. Let's take the economy back. Let's take the country back. Not with empty slogans, not with hollow promises, not by hoping someone else fixes it. No, we take it back with action, with determination, with investment, with fairness. Let's make America work again, not for the billionaires, not for the politicians, not for the ones at the top who've had it all for far too long, but for you, for your kids, for your neighbors, for the communities that built this country from the ground up, the people who showed up every day, did the work, and never gave up, even when the system seemed stacked against them. That's who this is for. Money should flow, jobs should grow, families should thrive, schools should be strong, roads should be safe, hospitals should work. Broadband should reach every single town. Opportunity should be real. That's the promise. That's the plan. That's what real greatness looks like. And it's not just theory. It's history. We've done it before. We know it works. And we can do it again. Right now. Today. This very moment. If we choose to act. If we choose to fight for it. If we choose to demand it. So stand up, speak up, vote, organize. Make your voice heard. Make your community matter. Make your work count. This is about fairness. This is about justice. This is about real America. The America that works for the people who built it. The America that doesn't leave families behind. The America that doesn't reward greed while punishing hard work. That's the America we're fighting for. That's the America we can reclaim. And now, say it with me. Say it loud. Say it proud. Make America work again. Make America work again. Make America work again. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. For us. For our kids, for our towns, for our country. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's make America work again, for real.